understand the context
Of course.
to what you're answering and everything.
All right. Oh, boss, you're here. I think we have one slot left. Would you like me to stream?
Sure. I don't know. Would you like me to help with TPs?
I think we have everybody.
Okay, good. I don't mind watching your stream then.
All right, I'm starting here in T-minus 60 seconds. This is going to be amazing. I'm so excited. So since I do not have two screens, do Thal's just let babies exist in the fog, or does one actually not be careful? So Thalassos have very strong parental instincts. So you would probably feel really prone if you saw a kid by itself to go and care for it, because those parental instincts would really just sort of take over. But it's when the bigger babies, like adolescents and bigger, where they form their own little tiny, you know, like gangs, groups, they're called cohorts. That's usually when the adults see them more as like, in a sense, competition, because they're not going to want to share food with them. They're going to be really selfish. Sticking around Thal's your own general size will reduce the amount of conflict that happens. So you want to stick to the Thals that are around your size, if that makes sense. If that answers your question, rest hard. Perch my little butt down. You know what? Actually, Ellis.
Yes.
I might have you. For the people in your group, would they mind talking in Hot Clash chat to ask their questions?
I can absolutely get them to do that. Or I can read them for you.
Right.
From my group chat.
I'm kind of thinking now that I kind of want you in my group.
Okay.
So. Oh, Bellamere.
It's Bellamere.
Oh. Okay, so all right. So I don't mind that at all, actually. So Bellamere and Ellis, you guys are gonna switch places. If that's okay.
All right. I can invite Bellamere to this group and then hand over the star.
Sounds
for
good.
Dipping out.
Let me know. Ooh. Hi there.
Congratulations.
So,
Goodbye.
Okie dokie. Alright, I think we're set. I think we're set. Alright, so I will get started in going over the Thalassodrome's profile. Please keep the chat for questions only, please. Okie dokie. Alright, starting off, Thalassodromeus, sea runner thalasso. We are piscivores, meaning our diet consists of fish. So we are seabirds. But, you know, we're not picky. We are classified as small, cathermal, meaning we're active during the day and night, everywhere in between. We are seasonal monogamous, meaning when we do go in court, we take on one mate for that season. But we are not bound to that mate, right? We do not mate for life. So you'll mate with that guy, and you mate with another guy next season. That's basically what that means. We are social. So very social animals. We prefer our own kind. We'll socialize with our own kind. It does dwell to be a little bit more complicated, but we are pretty much social. We're aerial, of course. We fly with like the air. We have wings. I don't think that part's pretty obvious, right? We are nomadic, so we do not claim specific areas. We don't defend areas. We are on the move when resources get low. Or when you just want to move, you just move without much quarrel. You won't really consider it sometimes. So, say, all right, there's not much fish here. Probably move somewhere else. We are pursuing things. So, to give you guys an example, an ambush hunter, they're probably going to calculate a little bit when they go and hunt. They might stalk a little bit, they might jump out, but usually if that prey slips away, right, then maybe they can chase for a few seconds, an ambush hunter, but they won't pursue it. Pursuit hunter, like us, we're a little bit more persistent, I guess. We won't give up hunting something once we start it, right? Of course, typically, once you run out of stamina, that is a really good indicator that maybe you should pull back. But yeah, we like to give up a little chase. Alice, oh, I'm sorry, were you going to say something?
Oh, no, that was probably just my mic picking up something.
Oh, okay. No problem. We've got a tiny beat. Alright, and we are scavengers. So this sort of means that if we see something else with a kill, we're probably going to go over and we're going to try and pick at that. You know, we're probably going to want to take chunks. This sort of means that we would probably prefer the easier means of getting food. So if you saw a little, let's say you did find something you could hunt, like let's say a young amarga, right? But there's a corpse nearby. The Lacerdramus is probably going to be more prone to go for the easier meal, right? Who knows? Maybe you'll hurt yourself getting that little amarga. Maybe you'll run into a tree, but the carcass is just standing still. You know, you're not really risking anything getting it. Probably going to prefer that mode of getting food over hunting something. That's just the way it is. Are there any questions about the tags that anyone may have? Okay, so Darth Rex is asking a question. So say we encounter a herd of bars below the area. Are we allowed to hunt a baby bars that is in that herd? So, no. So, recently there has been a note added to the Lacerdramus. I'm saying this. We're actually going to get to that, but I might as well. I'll just skip here. So it says, Thalassodromus does not hunt medium, large, or huge creatures unless they are hatchling or juvenile, and the hatchling or juvenile is not in line of sight of the subadult or adult of the same species. So basically, what that means is, if you saw a herd of Barsboldia with babies, you wouldn't hunt those babies because they're within line of sight of the adults. Does that answer your question, Darth? Alright, perfect. So, who just got asked a question? So, if something is heavily injured, like a medium-sized dinosaur, are we allowed to go for it since it's weak, or no because it's small dino or a baby? So, it does say this, I'll refer to the note again. The Lacerdramus does not hunt medium, large, or huge creatures unless they are hatchling or juvenile. So, not under any circumstances are we allowed to hunt medium, large, or huge creatures, injured or not. No problem, Pudas. Hopefully it'll help. Are there any questions from your end, Bella? None? Well, who's this tiny baby holding the pike in the air? Who is this guy? I don't do. Alright. Thank you. Alright, perfect. So, as it seems there aren't any more questions with that, I'll move down the list a little bit. Alright, our nesting limit during the wet season is 3 eggs every hour per pair. Nesting limit during dry season is 3 eggs every 2 hours per pair. So I know there's a lot of speculation around what that sort of means. So monogamous creatures, right, when you court, and once the babies are there, or once they're present, both parents are tied to that nesting time. right? So have you guys ever noticed when you're reading the other profiles how it sort of says, well, 2-hour nesting limit for females? Typically, those animals are polygamous, right? But since we're monogamous, and it's for monogamous and seasonal monogamous creatures, both parents are tied to the nesting time. Both parents have to wait that hour and every 2 hours between nestings. Does that make sense to everybody? Alright. Alright, so I have a question from Glossaholic. Would orphan baby Thals cling to any adult that shows interest in them? Or would they take from any and all? So usually when you're a baby and there's someone looking after you, baby Thal's got to depend on them, depend on a caregiver, right? We'll learn more about the babies actually just up here in a second. Since I've gone over the note, I won't go over it again. But yeah, you'll see, don't worry. I'll go ahead and clear that up for you once we get there. Do female thalassos raise young together? We will get to this. We are actually right on the baby stage. So I will answer these questions once I'm done going over the, Of course. You guys are very respectful, by the way. Loving this. Right. Now we're getting to the thick of it, guys. We're getting babies. Oh yeah. You know what? We're not there yet, but you know what? Once you hear one person, one call, you're probably gonna go a little ape shit. Alright? Because chaos equals more chaos. Alright, early life. After hatching, the Thalassodromes have enough coordination and strength for a clumsy maiden flight back to their rookery where their parents courted. The flight typically tires them, and they must devote time to preparing to fly again. The sheer cliffs and rocks of their nest site keep them safe from predation. However, overly adventurous young that fly or young pushed around during rambunctious play may fall from their roost. Despite their squawks for rescue, their parents will provide none. Weak chicks may be abandoned entirely and pushed off to the ground. Got a little scuffle going on there. Who's the baby holding the little arapaima here? Dino! You're a baby!
He's being weighed down.
Oh my gosh! He's gonna kill another Thal if he drops it on their head.
This is the most cursed thing I've seen in this game.
Alright, loving the little arapaima you're holding, but please do not turn on your microphone. Only to ask for questions, if that's okay.
Oh.
No, it's okay. No, it's okay. Just want everyone to have a good time, want everyone to learn. Alright. Ooh, gonna sit right back down. You know what, Darth? I think I want the bird. Yeah, I'm sure they can. Adult Thals will always preserve themselves over babies in the long run. They're very selfish creatures. Alright. Now let me explain that first part of the babies. So, what I've noticed sometimes is that some people will roleplay being really bad at flying as soon as they're brought in through the waystone. But I'm pretty sure, correct me if I'm wrong here, Moss, once you're waystoned in and your parents start to fly, your baby should be able to make that flight back. And then once you're where your parents want you, that's when you want to gain all your strength back. That's when the real test flight starts. If you fall from your parents' roost, right, they won't care for you, right? Don't see any questions regarding that. Anyone have questions about that part? Because I know I have received a lot of questions regarding that.
If I could poke in, not a question or anything, but we do have Adge in the class chat looking for an invite to Bellamir's group. As well as a question wondering if male thalassos can adopt babies as well.
Yes. Both. The parental instinct is universal amongst thalassos. Males, females alike can adopt kids and raise them. Who asked that question?
That was Little Mouse.
All right, thank you. All right, moving on. Young Thalassodromius experience the come and go of their parents, who fly off to feed themselves and bring back sustenance while the other stays angrily clacking their bills and shrieking at anything that gets too close to their brood. They are first cared for by their father, who will tuck them close to his belly to keep them warm. Should the caregiver grow too hungry without their mate returning, they prioritize their survival and abandon their young entirely. So, you know what? I think this is a very good moment to have a little demonstration of what that might look like. So, you know what? Let's get some tiny babies from the crowd. Well, there's a tiny one. Hey, Rustar, can you come here real quick? Right in the center here. So I know right when I started, I had a lot of trouble trying to roleplay this out. But it's really as simple as it gets. Stand right here. You know, maybe the baby's going to put their head down because they feel nice and secure and safe, right? You know? And you will have 3 babies doing this. So imagine how cute that's going to be. Right? Just imagine how cute this is going to be with 3 babies. Right? Something I like to do when I'm tired of standing is I'll also sit down. I really like the sitting animation. And just tuck them in your wings. Just tuck them in. It's really cute too. It's really cute. See that? This is Pog Thalasso behavior. Alright. So hopefully that was a good demonstration. Alright. Back to my cliff. Could I share something I did when I was there? Sure, why not? Let me do that. That's the question. I'll get right to that. So, like, if 2 Thals coordinated and had babies and brought them back to White Cliffs, would the Thals go somewhere high and then watch the kids try to fly? So, Pudusk, I do think that's up to the parent taking care of them. Typically what I like to do is, I'll fly with them, right? If they do need to take a break in between, I do think that's completely fine. But you don't really have to, if that's what you mean. You just take them to your roosting spot, you can wait for them, you can watch them fly, but they should be following you, you know, in hindsight, back to where you're gonna plan on raising them. Does that answer your question, Pudusk? Okay, I'm just confused on how the parents would abandon them if they fall. Okay, so here, can I explain this again for you? So, kids are waystoned in. You're gonna fly back to your roosting spot, right? They're gonna follow you, right? Now I should go for profile here again. So, after hatching, Thalassodromius have enough coordination and strength for a clumsy maiden flight back to the rookery where their parents courted. It's just a hint towards the parents are gonna take them to where they're gonna raise them. As soon as they waystone in, they should be able to make that flight back. Once they're there, their next flight is what they really have to prepare for. It's the next time they decide to fly. Because if they fall, their parents aren't going to take care of them. Does that help better understand the question? Alright, perfect. Are we meant to consider the roosting spot the area where they actually hatched? And the waystone travel doesn't count? Actually, hold on, let me delve into that question. Are we meant to consider the roosting spot the area they actually hatched in the waystone? Yeah, the waystone travel isn't the test. That's just from where they hatch to where they're going to be raised. Press start. All right. Are we set? Of course, there's nothing wrong with that. You know, in all honesty, we can all agree Baby Thal's name is kind of butt. So it would be really unfair to Baby Thal players, you know, people who get nested in as Baby Thals, to completely abandon them on the flight back. It's not fair. So yes, that should be perfectly fine. All right, I'll move on. really want to take my time with this because I love Thalassodromius so much. I want to make sure you guys learn as much as you can. They grab you all like by the shoulders and just shake you with information. It's gonna be great. All right. Juveniles are drawn to mischief and adventurous despite their caregivers' best attempts. With the ability to now thermoregulate, young Thalassodromius are given more freedom by their caregivers. They gather into big groups and attempt to bully small individuals, not a part of their cohort, steal food, or engage in other forms of harassment and quickly return for food when their parents swap out. If not interrupted by a caregiver, their games may go too far. All the while, they work out their flight muscles by jumping and flapping their wings. So, typically when your babies reach about juvenile, they're off, right? They're off trying to find other baby gangs, right? Typically, it's the other Thalassodromius who are in similar size to them, so other juveniles, right? And once they group up with their little friends, it's sort of like, say this, right? You go out, you're having a picnic, right? You send your kids off to go play on the playground, right? When they're hungry, they're gonna run back to you, because they want their lunch, right? As soon as you give them their food, they're back off doing what they want to do, right? Is it okay for me to ask harassment stuff? And do you want me to wait until... I mean, we're touching upon harassment. You do what you feel like, but I don't mind covering harassment stuff here. But this is baby stuff. So you can just keep that in mind. But I'll let you go ahead and ask whatever. Of course. Are there any questions regarding this third portion in the early life? No?
There is another question from Little Mouse in the class chat, wondering if females can help other females feed adopted babies.
So, say this. Since same-sex pairs are a thing for Thalasso, you guys can't have babies, right? So you'd go off and you'd be looking for some to take care of. 2 Thalasso should be, at the very most, taking care of 1 offspring. I don't think it goes more than just 2 adults. So, 2 female Thals can take care of 1, okay, so here. I'm just going to throw something else in here. So this is a rule of thumb I like to do. So, typically your nesting limit for how many eggs you should have is typically what I think is how many babies you should be taking care of. So, 2 female adult Thals will be taking care of 3 babies, but it's only those 2 adult Thals who are actively raising them. Does that make sense? For Little Mouse?
Yep, we're good.
Sorry. Hungry. Question I saw. Oh, when the parents are raising kids in a flock, do they protect their babies from other Thalassos? Like, would they be more inclined to raise their kids away from the flock until they're old enough? That's actually a really good question. I can actually answer it for you. So, you know how it mentions when baby Thalassos go juvenile, that they sort of go off and find their little cohorts and they group together, they go steal food, they go harass other things, right? Juvenile is sort of when a parent is sort of going to be less inclined to be around them, because at that point the babies are flying back to their parents to get what they need. The parents aren't going out of their way, right? So when they're hatchling and they're at the roosting spot, right? They're going to get I'm just gonna say getting territorial because they're going to be protective over their roosting spot to anything that gets too close. That does include other Thals. Does that answer your question? Of course. Oh, sorry. Oh. Maybe they all wanted food. Mhm. Right. So, the way I think about it, if they all had caregivers, they should have gone to their caregivers. Because that's the behavior. That's what it states in profile, right? When babies are hungry, when they're in their cohorts, yeah, they'll be stealing food while they're in their cohort. But if they need to go get food that they're not getting in that cohort, they'll return to their caregivers. The way I see it, because sometimes I do like to think a little harshly when it comes to these kinds of animals. They would be going to their caregivers. If they didn't have a caregiver, sure, why not, right? But if they did, they should have been going back to their parents for food. And if they weren't getting it, maybe they could stick around, scrounge off of other pairs and their babies, go fish for themselves, provide for themselves. If they don't have parents, that's when it gets a little looser. Does that make sense? While they're in the cohort, right, they're going to be doing everything together, right? So the way I see it is sort of, they go to their caregivers first if they can't get the food they're getting in the cohort. Then, if they're not getting food from their parents, go off and do by any means to get food. I don't think a baby Thal would just want to switch up parents. Maybe if the adopted parent isn't taking care of them anymore, they would go and they would hope to be picked up by a new mom or a new dad. Babies certainly rely on adults when they're being raised. So that's like their first mode of actually getting food. They gotta depend on their parents. It mentions it a lot. And if the baby isn't getting what they need, then by any means should they go and find food. They should have any means of trying to get that. But if it's a whole cohort of babies that have parents and they didn't get the food right while they were hanging out with their boys, then they should be going, then they would go to their parents. Their parents aren't giving them anything, which is odd. They would go off and find food. Maybe they do go to the other pair that has food and scrounge, steal, squeeze their way in. I know it's a little bit of like looping back to the same resolve, but I do think babies should be going to their parents first if they haven't gotten the food that they need in a cohort. I mean, if you wanted to add anything, if you feel like there's something I'm missing.
I think you've covered it there.
All right. Did that answer your question, Bella? Little mouse? Okay. All right. I spent a lot of time on the answer for this questions here. For adopted babies, if someone is taking care of a child, the child should return back to their original caretaker, correct? Wait, for adopted babies, if someone is taking care of a child, should return back to Okay, so actually, there was actually a really good example of this in yesterday's dress rehearsal, right? So what happened was, I saw a female with a baby, and the female went off to get food. Me, with my strong parental instinct, saw a baby alone. I wanted to take care of it, right? It looked like that it needed help. So I went over, and actually, Bella, I think this might have been you. I was calling over the baby, and it came to me. Mama came back, got in between us, and as I was still trying to get the baby to come to me, it wanted to come to me, but it remembered its original parent. It just got there, so it kind of went back to the parent that was feeding it. But yeah, sure it can. It's really circumstantial on what happens, but if you're capable of taking offspring from someone else when the parent isn't around, then it is completely okay for that baby to then switch up who's taking care of it. Okay, so here. Actually, oof. These are really good questions, guys. I'm loving it. Baby stealing is... We will be covering this. Not in the next one. I don't think. It's further down, but I'll go ahead and answer it anyway for you guys. So, Thals will fight over babies, but you shouldn't be trying to steal babies when their parents are right there. Okay, I'll say this outright, because you're not meant to be fighting over babies. You're not meant to be taking babies when their parents are actively guarding them. So, it's typically when the fights start is when, say for example, okay, who's taking care of a baby over there? Taking care of a baby. Alright, I see Poo Dust and Glossaholic, right? Let me just fly over here if you guys want to come and surround us a little bit. I can give you guys a really good example here. So, okay, Red again and Poo Dust. Say for example, Poo Dust, you had difficult fly off and find food. Baby's hungry, right? You know, and then now I'm lurking. And Poo Dust, just fly off real quick. I'm sorry. And Red again, she hasn't came back in a while, right? And then you had to go find food, right? Red again, fly off real quick. I'm sorry. All right, baby's all alone. Looks like it needs my help, right? All right, calls to the baby. I'm trying to get it to come over here. You know, it's a baby. You know, oh, someone wants to take care of me. Sure. No, why not? Then, let's say both parents come back. Right as I'm in this moment, a fight can break out because, oh my god, I thought it was my baby. Ah. I could definitely bicker. I can make it my moral mission to really fight for this kid, but I'm not going to get that hurt, so I'm going to fight. It does say fight, so you can throw some punches back and forth, but really consider the, you know, if you're 2-1, that doesn't look too much in your favor, right? And what if you accidentally hurt the kid, right? So typically that's when the fights break out. It's when the parents meet the guy coming to steal the kid, and it's meeting them right in the act. Or if I had already grabbed the kid and I'm already raising it for a little bit, they can come over, notice it's still theirs, and come fight for it because it's still their kid. Does that answer your question? I mean, well, you know, I delve in there a little deep, but I really like explaining that. All right. Are there any questions in your chat or in my question? Yes. Go ahead, Bella. Thals? No, go ahead, I'm sorry. Thals are extremely selfish animals. By any means will they go off and find food. I don't see the problem for a single Thal who's hungry to go and steal food from someone else, right? Even if it's two parents raising a kid. But as that parent, if that was the food that you were going to give your kid, you're taking care of your kid, so you're going to try and get that back. You're probably not going to kill another Thal over it. So if they do get away, you're probably going to let them get away. Right? But yeah. Yeah, hopefully, did I explain that right for you? Yeah.
Hi, Curly, I don't want to interrupt, but there's
Alright, so, okay guys. Let him have the fish. We aren't territorial. He's down there. He's a large animal, so we do not spook them. Right? So, you know what? Maybe we'll let him have that tuna.
oh no.
What's Dinah doing? Alright. You know what? Since I don't want to be hurt by Sugo, I'm not going to be on the ground for a little bit. I think I'm going to be up in the air. Ah, there we go. Oops. Oh! That would have been bad. So this will be the last question I take for this portion because I really want to move on. So will Thal's one-on-one give nips for squabbles, whether it be food or over babies? So I remember actually asking about this. So Thals, when they bicker, they can throw some punches back and forth, but your goal is not to hurt them, right? Not to kill them. When you're bickering and nipping, there's a lot of yelling, there's a lot of three calls. Maybe you throw a punch back, right? But it's probably not going to extend over 2 heads, right? You're not gonna want to over bickering because it's very common for our species. If we spend every day killing each other, there wouldn't be any thalassos, right? So when you're bickering, make sure to squawk a lot. You can throw a punch, sure. But typically, it's completely normal to end bickering too without killing each other. Gotcha. Thank you. Does this count for squabbling over a spot to last? Yeah, you could favor basking spots. Perfectly fine. Sure. Bickering is bickering. It's alright. Alright. Okay, I'm gonna skip through. Alright, moving on. Alright, general behavior. The Lacidromius are loud and boisterous nomads, keen to voice their emotions at any opportunity. When alone, these pterosaurs are more inclined to watch from afar and take few chances. They shy away from confrontations they cannot win and are quick to take to the skies to escape. Sudden movements or unexpected sounds are enough to spook these flyers. Though nomadic, they follow set paths when migrating that contain nesting spots and rest stops. They may have forward fishing and hunting areas, but feel no strong attachments to these locations. If bored, they may entertain themselves with games at others' expense, but prefer to keep risks low. So, there are a few hints that I feel I should mention here before moving on. Is that it does mention this. Where is it? If bored, they may entertain themselves with games at others' expense, but otherwise prefer to keep risks low. I do think that pertains to their behavior to harass things, to keep risk low. They are not dive bombing, right? Large, medium, large, or huge creatures. There's too much risk. Along with hunting as well, there's way too much risk with that. Onto social behavior. Though reserved when alone, great numbers embolden the Lacidromius. Their instinctual drive to congregate serves as a method to reduce predation upon themselves, minimize the risk of death during scavenging and fishing, and capitalize on the ability to find a partner. They have no loyalty to others and prioritize their health and well-being. Flocks have no ranks and happily mated individuals or cohorts of similarly sized aged individuals prefer flying close to one another to minimize infighting. Squabbles are frequent, except between those who are currently mates or mated during the last season. Injured flock members are shown little sympathy and may be bullied from food, roost, and other resources until they are fully recovered. So, oh, okay, we got some questions in the chat. All right. Questions on harassment. Since they can hunt smaller creatures, let's say a Thal is harassing and possibly hunting a Dynon, would the Dynon be more inclined to run, flee since alone, or would it fight? I know Thals are weak, but I just want to be certain. So it does seem like that. If a Dynon wants to turn around and start hunting the Thal, it can. That's completely up to it, right? We are allowed to hunt smalls, so go ahead and hunt it. I apologize. I don't quite... Okay, that answers your question. Perfect. Would an abandoned baby do something to try and attract an adult to care for it, or will it just try to follow an adult, or hopes will accept it? I do think that if a baby Thal sees food, it's going to go to food, but I don't think Actually, this is a really good question. Hey, Moss, would you mind taking this one?
We've been abandoned.
That's okay. I don't think a baby would go out seeking an adult, but it doesn't seem entirely implausible for that to happen. Because I do think that if a baby Thal was alone, like a hatchling Thal, assuming it's still like, you know, can be raised, that an adult would go to try and adopt them because their parental instinct is just so high. That is actually a really good question. Sure. Oh my god, I didn't go over dimorphism. You know what? I'm glad someone said something. Go ahead. Thank you. Perfect. Did they send their skin? Okay. I did not even see that big fellow. Hold on, I'm trying to find you. The brown one? That looks female. That's Thal. Yeah. There you go. Yeah, sorry, wow! Not very. Alright. Moving on. Let's see if there are any other questions. Social behavior. Yep. Often heard before seen, a flock scours the lands and seas for food, descending like locusts upon fishing spots or carcasses. They rest together in open plains, in dense tree tops, or on rocky cliffs, all attempting to be centermost position of the group. While migrating or roosting, individuals may fly off before returning to the collective, with whooping cries to indicate a potential food source, a rallying cry that all heed. As a collective, a flock feeds off of each other's energy, chaos breeding chaos, in a cacophony of wing flaps and screeches. A great deal of coordination can be seen as they fly through the air, balling up into great shapes as one individual's movement influences another. They are selfish and slightly cowardly, not wishing to be the first to plunge into the water or scavenge a carcass, especially if carnivores are nearby. Instead, they swarm together before sheepishly bowing out and back to the safety of the skies. Go ahead, Elaine.
Would my skin actually be considered female skin?
I can go over and check that for you.
Thank you.
No problem. Elaine.
So many names.
Right? Yeah. You do look pretty dull. Mind, though, that the dimorphism is males are brightly pigmented with red, yellow, or green accents. Females look with duller colors of varying blue or purple accents. So I do think you look dull enough, but that red and orange might be just a little confusing. So what I sort of mean by that is sort of, I like to take in how might someone else look at it. Right? So if I was going for female and I had a really red crest, but it was still dull, it's still a red crest. You know? So it's sort of like they might look at me male if I was trying to look female.
Okay.
My question still stands though. Just replace policies and money, please.
scroll up a little bit.
Oh, okay. Quick question again, for bonding of courting, I know Thals are seasonal monogamous, polygamous. They also prefer familiarity, so they would be waiting until they knew after to come around. So the courting doesn't change when time passes. So courting still occurs the same. Males go out and boogie down, and females will go to them. A female might visit the same spot that a previous mate have went to, but if they aren't there, they aren't picky about choosing another mate. Oh, right, sorry. Yeah, I'm just now getting all this. I actually didn't scroll up, so I appreciate that. But hopefully that answers your question, Pooh. So, maybe I should read this one. Did that help with your question? Ooh, no worries, thank you. I was just... Oh no, yeah. So if your mate isn't there, right? Or if you simply want another mate, go off and mate with someone else. You aren't tied. But yeah, familiarity isn't a bad thing to have, of course. Asking a lot of questions, Pudas. I'm loving it. Keep them coming. Since it specifically says females have duller colors or purple accents, but having the bright yellow on my skin would be fine since I have a blue head crest. In my head, when I was reading the new dimorphism, the way I was taking it is that the males were definitely given the more ambient colors. What I mean by ambient, it's sort of like red, orange, yellow, right? Females were warm color, right? Warm tones. So I think yellow would fall under a more male-like color, because I feel like you're really cutting it short when you want to say, oh, yellow wasn't stated in profile. Can I use yellow tied with blue, and would it be more female? If I were you, right? Or if I was anyone going over dimorphism. Dimorphism is very important when you're trying to put yourself in an immersive state. It also helps with other people too, because if everyone's following dimorphism, right, it's a step closer for everybody to be playing that dinosaur the way it was meant to be played. So if I'm like trying to cut it short, and it may look confusing. Do you know what I'm trying to say? If you try and go too, trying to look, if you have male dimorphism and female dimorphism in one. So if I was everyone here, I would definitely make it obvious what sex your Thalassodromeus is through your dimorphism. Because if you look like a male, and let's say a female, you know, well, other way around, you know, it's gonna make things a little more difficult. Yeah, I know it's not the most indulging topic, but I do think dimorphism is very important to follow. Oh, there is another dangerous terrestrial semi-water carnivore. Actually steal from their own fledglings, or will they be peacefully? I'm sure they'll be peacefully. You know, all babies are rascals, so I mean, go crazy.
There's another question from Little Mouse in the class chat as well. They're wondering if it's... Oh, I'm being abused. Who hit me? Yeah, so they're just wondering if it's okay for us to bounce. So I guess when you're landing, if you sometimes like hit the ground and bounce upwards, you're still holding the spacebar.
Yeah.
If that is an okay thing.
What's the... Wait, I'm sorry. Can you explain that again? I was sorry.
So they're wondering if it's okay for us to bounce. So Thal will bounce off the ground, like if you land and hit spacebar again, and they're just wondering if that's an okay thing to do.
I think that's fine. I don't think there's any problem with that.
I wouldn't think there would be an issue with it either.
You could definitely roleplay, like, okay, oh, I'm going in too hot. Oh, I'm going in too hot. And then you lift up right last second using your legs to push yourself back up into the air. I think there's no problem with that. Not at all. The real problem is bunny hopping. Don't bunny hop. Alright? No bunny hopping at all. We have wings. Use them wings. The pot devs blessed us. Hopefully they'll continue to bless us. I want my Hatzegopteryx. Alright. Can I switch dinos real quick and come back? Need to get TP. Pardon? Morph?
Sounds like they have a stuck dinosaur that staff are reaching out to them about.
Sure. You can keep your Thalasso here and come back. Yeah, I don't see the problem. All right. Are there any other questions that I didn't see?
I think there was some.
Oh, did someone bite that Suko? We don't really harass these big guys like that. This is too risky for Thalassochromius. Too risky. Who was that baby who just bit the Suko? We want to leave these guys alone. If you go in there, it's game over. That's our mindset, so we don't take that kind of risk. You know? What? You know what? How about I could bless everybody with some juicy information here when it comes to harassment. So I'm sure if some of you guys are an avid Thalassodromes player like I am, that you've probably seen the whole dropping things on animals' heads deal, right? So you can do that as long as it's from the sky. I wouldn't drop food on these big guys, but you can drop objects as a form of harassment on the things that you can't swoop down to harass. So if you have a rock and there's a sleeping Suko here, you could drop a rock on its head, or a clam like Ellis is doing. That's fine. Oh god, nice shot, Ellis. But yeah, as long as you're not swooping them, as long as you're not going in and biting them to harass them, it's completely okay. Yeah, sure, yeah. So you could drop things on things. It's like, you know, of course, just do it to harass till you get bored. There's just no swooping these large animals. No swooping. Right? I wouldn't drop food on them though, because I don't think that quite makes a lot of sense to drop food that you could have eaten.
It could interfere with the mixed packing rule of feeding another species.
Yeah. Thanks for that, Ellis. That was actually
Yeah,
a nice
no
point.
worries. Little Mouse is also pointing out that there's seeming to be a lack of fish, so there is a shark corpse nearby on the shore of Red Island as well. So.
All right, you know, Ellis, lead us.
I have no stamina, but I'll try.
All right, Ellis is over here. If those who are hungry, there's a shark corpse his way. Yeah, he's just gonna go and whoop and call on that poor shark. It's gonna get devoured. All right, curly menu. It's right. Yeah, sure. It's just a bit. No more for missing season, missing chat. Of course, man. Is it the trying in the? Oof, hold on. Trying in with the whole familiarity thing with Thal's. Take the time to bond and make friendships with others. I read once that Thals will fly close to who they made it with. So that is a real instinctual behavior that we have. It's not the word primal. It's we're a very primitive species, right? So let me use Meg as a really good example here. I love Meg. You know, if you guys ever want a Meg class, we can just start the hype and pot chat. I would love to do another Meg class. But since we are very primal animals, very primitive, we're very instinctual, we aren't that smart. When you mate with someone, that's probably the strongest bond you're going to forge with another Thal. Right? That's why they would feel less inclined to steal, harass at their mates from their previous season. And to even give you a little bit more of a sense on what I mean, it states in profile, and let me actually get it here. Let me find it. They have no loyalty to others and prioritize their wealth and their health and being. And it also mentions squabbles are frequent, except between those who are currently mates or mated during the last season. It is very specific. So, say for example, Ellis and I mated, right? and let's say 2 seasons pass and I mate with some other bird, right? I've pretty much already forgotten about Ellis.
Cries.
I'm sorry, man. It's basically for mates. In that sense, I really like the way we're breaking it down here, Pooh, but yes. Yes. The bond is the strongest when you're currently mating, right? And can be just as strong if you've previously mated with them, right? Doesn't really get stronger than that. And I think our big-tailed friend has left the lake. I'm gonna get some water.
Yes,
Waiting.
he has left.
All right, doesn't seem there's any more questions with that, so I'm going to move on. So proud of you, Bellamere. All right. Aggression. As vocal creatures, thalassodromes take every opportunity to voice their displeasure. They loudly squawk, clack their bills, and screech when angered. Thalassodromes are wise enough to pick and choose their battles, often preferring non-confrontational methods of harassment if faced with a threat they cannot overpower. This sentence right here is what I was just talking about, dropping things on people's heads, right? Thalassodromes are wise enough to pick and choose their battles, often preferring non-confrontational methods of harassment. So, you know what? Can I get a few volunteers? Oh my gosh. You really brought the bag home. Actually. Alright, you know what? Let's get a few volunteers, and if you want to watch, I would happily recommend coming over here to the center. Alright, so I'll say this sentence again, it's very important. Thalassodromes are wise enough to pick and choose their battles, often preferring non-confrontational methods of harassment, right? So, let's say, Sydney. Let's say you're a Rex, alright? So, you know, you're a sleeping Rex, just go ahead and sleep right here where I'm sleeping. Oh my god, everyone freaking out, Rex. Right? If I'm up in the sky, I'm not gonna swoop a Rex, right? No, it's too confrontational. He could bite me out of the sky, I could hit into him, and that would be bad, right? The non-confrontational method of harassing something you wouldn't normally dive bomb, drop something on Sydney's head. Because how much are you risking by doing that? Is that confrontational when you're dropping something from the sky onto a sleeping Rex? I don't think so. Oh my god, someone just gave me ammo. I'm gonna take that. Thank you for up to that. I'm just gonna drop it on bro's head. Non. Yep. I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't do that. You're really stretching it far there, friend. I wouldn't do that. Maybe when they leave the waystone, right? And 5 minutes have passed. Sure. Not right at the waystone. I wouldn't do that. Because you have to keep in mind, rules do matter in every case scenario, just as well as realism. The rules are here to make sure that the realism, that realism can be met. You know, because if it was nothing but chaos, you can get realism. Also, thank you, Sydney. Thank you for being our sleeping Rex here. Enjoy the bounty we've left you.
Little Mouse also had another question as well, wondering if we are allowed to abandon a child if they are not playing by the profile.
Yeah. So, there's actually a rule, and I'll pull it up here. So, what I am always going to encourage, of course, I know not everybody really wants to do this, and I'm not saying that you have to. This is just how I go. When I see someone not quite following profile, I'm going to assume they need some guidance, and I do my best to give it to them. Right? But let me find the rule here. Give me a second, guys. I'm not that fast. Apologize. Hey, Ellis, do you think you could find that rule for me quickly?
I believe I know the one you're talking about, so yeah, I can have a look.
Thank you. I'm gonna move on. Are there any other questions I can take? Oh, okay. Can a male and female without court not nest and raise the duppies together? I don't see the problem with that. not at all. Certainly, if you are a male and a female, you're probably going to have babies, but I don't think there's a problem with not having them. Okay, as something that has something chopped on them, is there any good way to show discomfort or pain from being? So we are Thal, so we would be the ones doing the dropping, but there are a multitude of ways you could express that. But I don't think I'm going to get into the nitty-gritty because this is a Thal class, and typically we aren't having the things dropped on our heads. You know, we can, and you can get angry. You can, ow, it hurt. Don't do it again. Or you off and you can sulk alone. There are so many different ways you can do that. But I don't want to get into the nitty-gritty of that. So aren't supposed to. So I think it's more of the fact of what they would realistically carry and not carry. I wouldn't peck them for it, but if they're
That would
acting
be risky.
yeah, exactly. Because like, say for example, that baby, you know, say for example they didn't talk to you, right? And they just went on and, you know, filed for a report, and then that was your, you know, your reason for hitting them. Like, oh, they weren't supposed to carry the Arapaima because they were that small. If they weren't acting very realistic, you don't have to take care of them, right? I wouldn't hit it, you know. Oh, whew, darn, I thought it was close. You almost whooped me there. But yeah, I mean, if they aren't yours and they have something you want and they aren't giving it up, then you can peck them. But it's just a matter of it's really the integrity there. You know, should a hatchling really be picking up an Arapaima, right? Or a shark, right? Definitely always encourage your fellow members to think and act more realistically here, right? So if you do see a hatchling carrying something that they wouldn't normally be able to carry, maybe you want to nudge them, right? Right? Did Little Mouse get all that, Bella? You know what? You were a very good mom. Alright, perfect. If babies do pick up large AI and they're completely alone, would it be best for them to fly lower? That's the roleplay aspect. Hell yeah, man. Yeah, perfect. Something I like to do is whenever I pick up something, I like to immediately click once it's in my mouth, because it's like it's slipping from my beak, or I'm just like stumbling over myself. But yeah, perfect. Alright. That was the first thing of aggression. Now we'll continue.
Adge also found the rule we were looking for right as I found it, so they've kindly put it in the pot class chat as well.
Can you read it out for us, Ellis?
So yeah, it's game rule 1, so it's the act realistic rule. So act realistic and do your best to behave in a way you would think a real dinosaur would. Other actors are allowed to react by rejecting, chasing away, or killing those who act unrealistically within hunting or challenge rules. So that would be specific to hunting or challenge, but if someone is, you know, not making efforts to follow profile despite being offered guidance or tips or anything like that, like the shunning and rejection could definitely be considered.
Alright. I'm going to continue on then. They may also swoop to scare predators from their kills or away from their roost. However, they are not one to risk their lives for another and quickly abandon the pursuit if it does not go in their favor. The Thalassodromeus avoid swooping, medium, large, and huge carnivores if not motivated to defend their young. Natural bullies, they taunt and pester small creatures liberally, especially unattended young of any species. Uniquely, flocks tend to converge without issue should their resting spots or nesting sites overlap. Sometimes mated pairs may even belong to different flocks entirely, only ever meeting up if should the two flocks cross paths. So you need to converge. Yep. So that part just sort of went over. The swooping behavior, which we've already exclusively chatted about, and how they aren't going natural blues. Yeah, that was the swooping part, and how if two Thal flocks should meet, they'll 9 times out of 10 be one flock. After that, they'll converge. They'll group up with each other. Are there any questions about that? Okay, this one. Will Thal swoop medium dinos if in a large flock, since they are more confident? So the rule. Wait, is it a rule?
It's a profile note, I believe.
Thought it was too. Do not hunt. Did mention me. Oh, I just read it. Come on, brain. You better. Thals avoid swooping medium, large, and huge carnivores. So I would take this for herbivores as well. I wouldn't do it. The risk is too high. Who's the baby holding the turtle?
I'm currently on the hunt for a large fish, so.
No, just give me their name, Bella. That's all. I keep actually forgetting you're right here, and I'm so sorry for continuing to return to that same spot. You know what? You guys are chilling right here. I'll join you guys. Alright. Okay, did I answer that question? Yeah, definitely avoid swooping them. Yeah. Definitely wouldn't do it. Because, like, the only time you're ever gonna do it is if they're getting close to your roosting spot. That's it. Right? Typically. So on to the very brief and short hunting instinct portion of profile. With an abundance of fish and copious grounded competition, their diet has shifted towards scavenging, fishing, and hunting small game to survive. Though they gravitate to areas with plentiful fish, they are adaptable enough to carve out a living in any location. They may casually circle over herds, hunting fish schools, and carrion as they wait to fill their gullet. So, I'm sure a lot of you already know that Thalassodromeus, realistically were real terrestrial hunters, right? They weren't seabirds. I am so glad that Moss was gracious enough to bless us with an animal profile that could benefit to all walks of life. So, if there's no fish, I'll get on the land and I'll hunt for something small, right? We are not picky animals, and I'm so glad that it's within profile to do that. So that's basically what that means. We just make a living anywhere, It's not hard to find food, we aren't picky. Anyone have questions about hunting instincts? One more time, Bella? Oh, alright. We're actually going to cover that in the next portion of profile if they don't mind waiting until we cover it. Okay, I quickly have to step away for only a minute. I just have to bring some clothes inside. So, if you guys have any questions about what we previously covered, Alice, would you mind?
Do my best.
Thank you so much. All right, I will be back as soon as possible. 2 minutes at the most.
What age are they hitting right now? Juvie? I'd avoid any of the larger, ocean creatures, as well as the arapaimas. So, stingrays, sea turtles, sharks. I think trout and bluegill and arowanas would be fine. Tuna would be too big. Yeah. Think about it as well, because... Yeah, the arowanas, the bluegills, those tiny guys. Because you also have to think that, we are also, built to be lightweight creatures so that we can actually fly. So if you're weighing yourself down with anything that's going to be too much for you, then that's really going to slow you down. Okay, so Rust is asking if a Thalassus partner disappears or dies and they have offspring, will they try to court a new partner? And will that partner help care for that clutch? I don't think they would go out of their way to search for a new partner while actively caring for offspring. I think they would most likely prioritize putting their energy into the energy that they can into raising their offspring. And even if that becomes too much, then they might simply move on their own. They are really selfish. So, sorry. The question was for if their partner dies, would they court a new partner to help raise the kids? Yeah. I don't think a Thalasso would spend the energy looking for a new partner when they have active offspring. I'll definitely get Curly to offer some more clarification once he gets back.
Sorry about the wait, guys.
No worries.
I've returned.
Welcome back.
Thank you. Alright, do we get any spicy questions come up?
So, Rusthart did have a question.
Okay.
Wondering if a Thalasso's partner disappears or dies and they have current offspring, would they try to court a new partner, and will that partner help care for the clutch?
So, with that question specifically, you were talking about your courting timer, like, resetting. It doesn't work like that with monogamous creatures. Seasonal monogamous included. Right? So,
I don't think it's a specific question wondering about nesting again, but just would they pair, and would the second partner basically adopt the previous clutch?
okay. You know what?
The answer I offered was that I don't think a Thal would spend the energy looking for a new partner when they have current offspring that they're caring for.
Yeah, they probably wouldn't abandon those kids. Not unless they were starving and they had to. But, so the question was, if one of the parents die,
Die
that-
or disappear.
would the solo parent continue looking after the babies?
Would the solo parent try to court a new partner to have
Probably-
that partner adopt the kids and help
Probably
care
not.
for them?
Probably not. No. I mean, I don't think that would make much sense.
I mean,
That's
speaking
a really good
as a
question.
Thalassa parent who had my wife die to tragic circumstances, taking care of those 3 babies was more than enough for me. I wouldn't. I don't think I would have
Yeah.
handled the stress of courting another.
Right.
What I would say, and I don't want to interject, but
No.
I can offer kind of a rule perspective. So if you're courting, you technically shouldn't be because you're under a mating timer. So you would be by yourself, and there's that struggle of like, oh yeah, I have to leave. In which case, I might say it might be a lot like March of the Penguins, where you have, the parent is like, well, do I wait for my mate to come home, or do I just go save myself? And they might oftentimes just save themselves instead. Like I said, it's that selfish part, and that's all I'll say on it. It's just like you shouldn't be doing that under timer.
Right. That does make a lot of sense, and I agree with what Moss said. Oh, it's right here in the profile. Depending on what season, either an hour or 2 hours. Yeah.
No, it's a set time.
Yeah. So,
We time it from your nesting post.
yeah.
Yeah, no
I
problem.
I do believe the only time that the death of kids alter the timers is through polygamous creatures, and only with females. Males don't follow a nesting timer for polygamous creatures, and females with the behavior depicted in profile can have their offspring killed to reset their timer. But those are the only circumstances where that may change. So, like Moss. Nesting post.
Nesting
nesting
post is
post.
what we time from.
So as soon as you put that post into the chat, that's when the timer starts. Does that make sense, Bellarmere? Yeah. Oh. Right. Yeah, so... Alright. Seems like there are a lot of questions in chat. I don't know where to start, but I will go on and start answering these. Oh gosh. Can you help me out here, Ellis? That's
Which one are we looking at specifically right now?
China disappears. They just had a fight over the roost.
Yes, there was a spat while you were away.
Oh, okay. So what happened? Bring some clarity.
They were not in my group, so I didn't quite see your group. Yeah, I didn't quite see what the health situation was. I heard the 3 calling, but from my perspective, it looked like a challenge over a resting spot,
Okay. Perfectly
and
fine.
there were potentially some children.
All right, so here. So, okay, yeah. Okay, it wasn't a response. There were 3 babies. It was a nest. Okay, so here. Any challenge for any regard, just want to treat it the same, right? So, if you're throwing punches back and forth, by any means, like, if it looked like they were settled there, leave them alone. If you really don't want the hassle of having someone come over and bothering you, just leave. I wouldn't really even try and go to half when you're spouting as the lasso. Try and keep it realistic, right? So, if it was a roosting spot for your babies, I can totally understand why you were a little more aggressive on it, right? Someone just came up and challenged over a spot. That's perfectly okay if they really wanted to do that. It's just a matter of you don't need to die over a roosting spot. You would solely focus on your health, and if that was being put in jeopardy, you would probably disengage from the situation in general, right? But even as for the challenger, if the challenger's getting whooped, right? He should fly off too, right? Hopefully that brought some clarity to what happened. We just really want to make sure that we aren't killing each other during challenges, because we don't do that. Is that a floating clam? All right. Pardon?
You still need to wait your timer, though.
It doesn't change, though. You still have to wait out your timer. So, trying to think of...
Yeah, so if your timer finishes, but your children have not yet reached sub-adult, you can't nest again. It has to be both. And then your children need to... Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Perfect. Yeah. I think that's about right. Okay. Seems like we got that cleared up. Just want to make sure I didn't miss any questions here. Since Thals are selfish and care for their own well-being, unless they have a mate or kids, would they want to send out warning calls to the rest of the flock, or just stay quiet and move? So, Thals are very vocal when they're expressing their discomfort. So if you were swam up by a Spino or just a predator, you'd probably vocalize what's happening, and your other Thal members should pick up on that just as quick, right? So it's not a fact that you're doing that to alert everyone else. You're doing that because it genuinely scared your Thalassodromians. Once one person forecalls, everyone else should be, oh, what happened? Oh, let's see what's going on. Oh, there's a predator. You know, everyone up into the sky, and we'll see what happens. Of course, we're gonna move on. I really do apologize for having to step away. It caught me a little off guard. But we are gonna be getting into courting and reproduction. All right. The nesting season arrives when many individuals converge on White Cliffs, Broken Tooth Canyon, or Green Hills, either as one flock or many flocks. Males fly ahead of the collective and land on cliffs or rocks near large bodies of water, where they will quarrel for an ideal position to posture and display. When the arrival of females brings about the end to the squabbling, and they begin to displaying by flapping wings and singing a unique song made from various screeches and warbles. Female seeking a partner circle above, and if pleased with a male's display, she will land in front of him to display her interest. Two females interested in the same male shout at each other before the male ultimately determines his pick. With the male leading, the two mimic each other's movements before laying down to groom each other's backsides. So, as that was, are there any questions regarding what I mentioned? I know it was pretty straightforward. Males fly ahead. They pick their courting spots. Maybe they squabble for a little bit of their courting, of their little stages. And as soon as the females arrive, all of that comes to a halt. Females choose the best dancing man. Two females find the same man. They'll squawk at each other. There is no fighting. And the male will choose which one he wants to mate with. To reciprocate and acceptance, they'll start to mock each other's movements. So actually, I think this is best great with a visual representation. Ella, should I help me with this one?
After I catch this fish, absolutely.
Oh, of course.
Oh, it has escaped me. I will do the demonstration. I don't know where that fish
All
went.
right. Reduced to atoms. All right, let's go down here.
Probably.
All right. I stand here. All right, so let's say Ellis, you're this groovy male. All right. I'm flying about, and Ellis, bro is busting down. All right. He is dancing. Oh.
No, hold on.
You got it. Go complete bird moment. Alright. So checking him out. Maybe I like what I see. Alright, I'm gonna fly down. I'm gonna land right in front of him. And to show our reciprocation, maybe Ellis is gonna drop and he's gonna maybe to call me and flick his head up. Right? And to reciprocate that, I'm gonna do exactly what he's doing. I'm just gonna do it right back. And to really seal the deal, you're gonna get closer, you're gonna get a little bit closer, and then you're gonna sit down. You're just gonna groom each other's backs. And voila. I know that a lot of people have trouble with, so how do I know if they accepted me or not? It's all about reciprocating that, and I'm really thankful that this is visualized in the profile. So it's really just mocking each other, just doing what they're doing, and then eventually sitting down to groom each other's backs. Thank you, Ellis. Are there any questions about that portion, that first paragraph? Oh, right. Food, I didn't even see that. Outside. Okay, can Thal's court anywhere outside? It's in profile, so I wouldn't know. I don't think they can. Just those three places. And as for your next one, also, if males will fly ahead to a courting spot, would they be more inclined to lead the flock as a whole? As in if they're just flying? I don't think it's about leading because they purposefully fly ahead to get a head start. So no, I don't think they'd be trying to lead. Not really a question for courting. How do you cancel? Oh, Alice, I know you really explained this really good. They want to know how they cancel their calls.
All right. So, I love canceling calls. So if you go into your settings under your controls, you'll have a section where the game will ask you to map buttons to your different attacks. So my primary attack is my left mouse button. My secondary attack is my right mouse button. My very last attack, which is your 8th ability, which almost no dinosaurs have that many abilities, I have that mapped to a random key. So because it's something that I never have an ability bound to, since almost nothing, I believe, even has that many attacks. It's a button I can click at any point to cancel a call. So my key that I use is G. So if I wanted to cancel my one call, like for the grooming, I'll cut it off just before the end, so I get that beak clacking sound. So I have my G key bound to an attack that doesn't exist, and I'll just tap G and it'll cut it right off.
Thank you, Ellis.
No problem.
See, I probably would have been there explaining that for half an hour. I have no idea how to explain it. All right.
Yes, so for Thal, you could even use your right key. Your right mouse key, if you wanted. I use G for all of my call cancelings, for all my dinosaurs, just that's my call cancel button.
All right. Two females interested? Oh, sure, why not? All right, let's make some people from the crowd, eh? You know what?
Oh yeah, we are low on water for sure.
Oh, we're low on water. We're gonna move soon then. You know what, Ellis? You're gonna help me.
Right.
You don't have a choice.
I don't even know where you are. There you are.
I'm
Hello.
right here. Ellis wants to help. You know what, Bella? Oh. Sure, Bella. Why not? Okay. So let's say, Bella, you're the male. All right. Ellis, let's say you landed.
Oh, okay. Hold on.
Just landed, and you're checking her out. And you guys are you're calling back and forth and stuff. But no, I'm a female. He looks pretty sexy, right? I'm gonna start squawking at you, and this just turns into a squawking bout. It does not get physical. We're just gonna consistently throw calls back and forth until eventually Bella is gonna walk over and choose one of us. You see that? Yeah. And that's the end of it. Then we would continue reciprocating. Maybe Bella's gonna start beating my bob and her head up. Oh, yep, of course. Alright, so that helped? Yeah. Alright, I'm off to this guy's again. Alright. Going to continue down the courtship and reproduction. I really hope that everyone has been getting all the information they need and everyone has been learning here, because the last trophy is just so cool, man. Alright.
Yeah, we're on 4% for our lovely lake.
Lovely lake. You know what? I didn't plan on having us swim because I thought this lake would work. But how about we move? Alright. Let's get off this crummy island. So that's actually a perfect moment to demonstrate that one Thalassodromus influences another, so we might start flying in dynamic ways, shapes. Who knows? Maybe Ellis is gonna pull off some real aerial dance moves or something. I don't know. Just gonna fly with it, bro. I really like how dynamic they can get. Alright, oh, I did get confirmation about this already, but I feel like it should be addressed here as well. Yeah, go ahead, Boom. Oh, Pudusk, are you writing out? Oh, yeah, you are. Is it about Thal taking through corpses? Most people thought they had to land, but I had to get this corpse that they need to hover with your beak. So you must be like colliding with the corpse, or else it would be exploiting. So yeah, typically I'm always safe about it because I think it's always better safe than sorry, right? But yeah, as long as you're making contact with the body, you can fly and take from the corpse.
I've personally managed to do a very fancy swoop and bounce off the ground, but it's very scary every time I do it.
I saw you get clapped by a Rex.
Yeah,
Funniest thing ever.
the two very different videos.
Alright, so I'm gonna go ahead and move on. Pairs that made it the previous season excitedly confirmed their choice with bill tapping and sky calling, where they point their bills upwards and shake into the air. They prefer familiarity unless their previous choice died or displeased them in some fashion. On occasion, they may be unequal numbers for those seeking a partner. As the urge to court is insatiable, such individuals left without a partner might pair for the season even if they are the same sex. Go ahead and I'll read the last one as well. Once chicks arrive, pairs constantly swap between caregiver and provider. One stays with the chicks while the other feeds themselves and acquires food for the young. With young always needing food and warmth, the usually close pair have fleeting moments to quickly bill snap before exchanging duties. When young are ready to fend for themselves, the bond between mates is often the most comparable concept to friendship that the Lacerdomius ever known. As hatchling and juveniles are incredibly vulnerable, males and females alike have strong parental instincts and will attempt to adopt any chick without a parent nearby. The Lacerdomius will bicker and fight over offspring and may even try to steal the offspring from others if theirs die. Oh, fell. Often putting their prize in mortal peril. A quick quarrel is enough to send away these would-be abductors. So, I know that was a lot to sort of take in there, because I know I did read a lot. So, actually, there was something I wanted to point out here. Where is it? Yeah, so here, they prefer familiarity unless their previous choice died or is displeased with them in some fashion. So, again, you are someone should drop me a tuna? You aren't tied to a mate. But it doesn't take much to want to choose another, right? But we do like familiarity, right? So you may seek out your a previous mate, right? To mate with them again. I see there are some questions. How do I beg parent for food? You know what? It's actually a very cool question that I would love to answer. Alright. We need a baby from the crowd. Let's be a baby. This fella right here. Alright. Who is this fella right here? Who is this guy? Over here, Bella. Dino dude! Hello there. Alright, so you're gonna be a baby begging for food, right? So, say for example... No, Sydney, you're gonna help me out here again, right? So, Dino dude, come here. Hey, Sydney, can you come over here next to me? So, say for example, me and you are mates, right? Alright? So, you're huddling up with mom. Let's say... Perfect. This happens. I'm coming back with food, right? And maybe Dino Dude sees me coming. And bro is simply hungry, right? He's gonna look up at me, he's gonna one call. Maybe he's gonna stand because he's so excited, right? Might one call, might four call a few times. Bro is starving, he wants this too, right? So I do believe there are multitudes of ways you can go play this out. Oh. He can mock bite. I don't think there's wrong with that. Definitely avoid hitting your mom though. It really pan out well for you. You could look up, jump, one call, you cut off your one call a little bit. I do think it's okay to four call a few times if you're really looking to get food. I don't think there's a problem with that. But yeah, it can even get more diverse than that if you can think of other ways to do it. So there aren't really any wrong answers there. But that is just one of many different ways you can role play being hungry and begging for food. Right. that help you out, Russ? You wanna start? I haven't heard anything. Are there any questions from your end, Bella? All right. The bond between mates is often the most comparable concept of friendship that the last Thalassodrome has ever had. So we did touch up on that previously. So, yeah, usually when you have mates, that's the strongest bond that you're ever going to have between two Thalassodromes. It's the closest kind of bond that you're going to get. It's through having a mate. As hatchlings and dogs are more compatible, males and females alike have strong parental instincts and attempt to adopt a new chick without a parent nearby. Please keep this in mind. Without a parent nearby. Also, Kit, Thal, select another male if they perform better rather than the last male. Yeah, that was just mentioned. If you think that someone is performing a bit better than your mate did last time, and you're just simply more impressed with that, that's enough to swap. You are not tied, right? You prefer familiarity, but if your old mate isn't really holding up to the dance moves that he proved to you last season, then, you know, find someone who can dance like Jason Derulo, alright? That's all I'm saying. Bro can dance. Okay, and I do think we are at the end of the profile here. It's also very important. A quick quarrel is enough to send these would-be abductors. So let's get one final example here. Let me pick someone different. I have jokes again. Puduskin been asking so many questions. I'm asking you to join me. Froop, would you like to join me? Alright, so let's say Froop, Poo. Unfortunately, you guys didn't get any babies. I'm sorry, but the Waystone gods have denied you both children. Right? But then let's say, who is this blue fella right here? Who is this fella? Pardon? Oh, they're not in my group either. Well, I'm sure they know that I'm talking to them. Whoever they may be. Alright, let's get a baby in here. Rustart, come here. Yep. Apologize for my stutter. Oh, okay.
After this demonstration, Curly, are you okay to move us to some water?
Yeah, sure. Alright, so let's say that it's Moffram? Who's next to me? Moffram. Let's say we went out. I was hungry. I went out first, then you were later, and you also went out because you were too thirsty and you couldn't wait for me. So just fly off real quick. Then Pooh and Fruit, they're pulling up to the scene. Ooh, baby. Right, let's try to adopt it. We're gonna come back because we just sated ourselves. Drop down. We're gonna see our kid, right? We're definitely gonna initiate a 3-call because we want our kid. They're stealing it, but it's this scuffle right here wouldn't escalate. And then the standard profile, these would-be abductors would probably give up. They'd fly away. You know? Shoot, we got. Oh no, I mean, if you're scared, but you're probably still gonna want a parent after the bat. But yeah. Just quick quarrel with send abductors. Alright. No need to get all scratchied up fighting over a baby. Especially if you lost yours. Oh, okay, hold on. Let's move over to this water source, by the way. I know a lot of people are thirsty. Who's asking that? He's asking how big. So I do believe cohorts are just simply, I thought they were exclusively baby groups, but they're of similarly sized individuals. So I guess you could say that, you know, it is considered a flock of adult Thals because we're all about the same size. But it's just anyone who's the similarly sized as you. If they aren't within your respective size range, I wouldn't start a cohort with them. simply because that's just what you judge it off of. So I don't think there's a set age or like a set size. It's just when you're an adult Thal that then turns into a flock. Does that make sense? Oh, they did. I'll take a peek. Yeah. You actually, I think you guys could be in the same cohort. I think that's fine. You guys seem
There's a
about
tree
similarly
there.
sized. So that was the end of the profile. Wow, that felt like a movie, to be honest. I'm not gonna lie.
Glossodromius Part 2 when?
Yo, dude, I would love to do a sequel. That'd be great. Third Thal dress rehearsal. No, they didn't. Are there any lasting questions that I may have not seen? Because if there are no questions, I think that's a good place to end it. To end the class. No, there's not too many questions. But, hey, guess what? Even if there aren't any questions, if you have a Thal question, I want you guys to ping me or Ellis in acting questions, alright? Please, I want to answer this amazing animal and any questions that people may have with them, alright? So, no, we didn't, Darth, but I totally forgot. This is like probably like the best part. Let's get a picture. Let's get a picture. All right, can everybody come over to the hot springs, please? The Whistling Columns hot springs over here. Everyone is gonna get in this picture. All right.
I'm trying to get people to start calling them the Knot Springs.
The what?
The Knot Springs, so I'm just throwing that out there.
All right. I wanted to get everybody just swimming in this pool here, but like make sure that everyone's next to each other because I want to get like a picture from above. All right. I think it's gonna be quite different. All right.
No one drown.
Don't spray into each other. All right. Let's wait till everyone gets in here. Just like, just too much flashing. Just stand still. Too much flashing. Too much. All right. Come on, restart. Come on, restart. I'm waiting for you. All right, let's start here. I want everybody to look up. This is a lot of classic this. All right, nobody move. If you move, I will take away your Thalasso privileges, your wing privileges. All right. You know what? This hot spring is actually like Gondwa's KFC deep fryer.
Oh, what a way to end the class.
All right. I think that's enough. Easy on calling. So I think that's good. If any of you guys have any more questions that we didn't manage to answer here, go ahead and ask in the acting questions channel. But I really want to thank everybody for showing up. All right. Had amazing questions. All right. Hopefully we all learned something. That's like the main goal of these. Of course. Don't just thank me. Alice really helped me out too. He was the true mastermind.
Was I? Jeez. I almost just killed Aries.
All right. So, yes, ask lots of questions. Continue to ask them. Please teach your friends. All right. More Thalassos that know the profile, the better. We'll be departing us, Mind Grain. Thank you so much. You have a nice. Oh, thank you. I appreciate that, Renegade. All right. Be gone from the VC. Shoo. All of you. Wait, I really don't want to be told the owner of that. No. That'd be pretty bad. Alright, except you, Ellis. Except you.
Being held hostage.